The hall gleams. Crystal chandeliers slice the light into sharp grains. On stage, a string quartet. The violin holds a long note. The room seems to hold its breath. The floor is polished to a mirror. Patent shoes, shining straps, long shadows of glasses. The host reaches for the microphone, but the heir of Granov Invest gets there first. His name is Leon. White tuxedo, cufflinks with tiny watch faces, the smile of a man who owns the room. He raises a hand. The noise settles. Phones lift. Ring lights flare. The click of autofocus sounds like ice cracking in a glass. A woman walks between the tables with a bucket. A gray uniform. Blue gloves tight at the wrists. Hair in a firm bun. She moves quietly, without fuss. The cart doesn't squeak. She greased the wheels in advance. Her name is Marina. She keeps to a narrow line, missing flowers and glass. The bucket leaves a damp trace on the parquet, and it fades at once. A guest brushes a stemmed glass, and red wine arcs into the air. It hits the marble. The room inhales. The stain spreads. Someone says, "This needs cleaning," and it lands like an order. Leon steps to the edge of the stage. The microphone catches every word. "Let's make a tiny show for charity," he says. "Easy. If our hygiene professional does it in a minute, I'll double the donations." Nervous laughter. A few claps. A countdown glows behind him. 60, 59, 58. Marina freezes for a beat. A damp cloth in her hand. Hundreds of eyes. Cold light. Lenses. She drops to one knee. A beam from the chandelier touches her cheek and picks out a thin white scar. She works with confidence. Paper towels lift the excess. Marble cleaner foams without smell. Her motions are exact. Lift, blot, protect. Inside, she counts to 4. A steady metronome. Zeros flash. The floor is clean. But Leon is already playing to the crowd. "Chic," he calls. "Any job can be a show. The price is the point." Laughter rolls. Cameras find her face. There is no smile there. Only dry fatigue. A short pause cuts the air. You don't know yet that this pause will start a loud echo. Today, someone put another person's dignity on a timer. Tomorrow, that timer will go off under different feet. Marina peels off her gloves by the service door. The air smells of metal and floor cleaner. A draft cools her neck. The duty lamp flickers. In her locker, a thermos of black tea and a yellow sticky note. Don't forget Sophia's inhaler. Neat letters. She writes like that to calm herself. Sophia is 9. She has asthma. On workdays, Marina leaves her with the neighbor, a nurse. In the evenings, if there is a little strength left, they sit in a small courtyard between concrete blocks. In summer, the lilac throws shade. In winter, it is empty and ringing. On their kitchen sill, a pot of parsley keeps growing. Stubborn green in narrow sunlight between shifts. Marina once studied accounting. Contracts don't scare her. She sees hidden penalties and wrong numbers. It is her invisible skill, not needed on the night shift, but still there. On her phone, live courses on financial basics, a bit of Spanish, a bit of Italian. For guests, for tips, for self-respect. Morning is a different world. The clinic. Linoleum the color of wet asphalt. A line that smells of budget cream and apples in a bag. Sophia holds the inhaler, looks out the window, and whispers, "When will you sleep?" Marina strokes her hair. "Soon," she says, though the schedule in her phone hangs like slow rain. 3 hours of sleep is normal for her. Glass clinks, and the drip monitor's beep mix in her head. They count money together. Rent. Medicine. A winter coat one size up. 1. Warm. Marina reads ad posters and compares prices in an instant. Adds, divides, breaks it down by weeks. That, too, is music. A steady pulse. In the evening, if Sophia breathes easier, they stop by the old workshop near their yard. A kitten lives there, striped, with a black spot on its nose. Someone dumped him in summer. Sophia named him Cole. He rustles in a box and purrs like a small motor. Sophia's breathing evens out when she strokes his warm back. Marina brings bits of boiled chicken and water in plastic caps. The kitten is small but important, their line of calm. Marina doesn't complain. On shift, she straightens cloths, hides scratches under decorative plates, memorizes faces that stub cigarettes in pots. Real cleanliness is when no one sees your work, until someone sets a timer. If stories like this matter to you, where a small person holds the line among loud monologues, please like and subscribe, and tell me your city in the comments. Your words help these stories reach the people who need them. Marina has no connections. She does have a habit of reading small print. In that print, a crack is hiding that no one sees yet. Leon wakes in different light. His morning smells of leather upholstery and coffee delivered before he's up. The house is a showroom, a glass stair hanging on cables, a painting that shifts like an oil slick, a couch you sink into, diplomas and tennis photos and yachts on the wall. He chooses a jacket for the task. His phone holds names that answer on the first ring. His voice is a touch louder than needed, a habit from always being heard. Granov Invest runs funds, hotels, construction sites. The Granov Futures Foundation is a glossy window, children with balloons, doctors in white, warm words. On the internal server sits another file with lawyer notes, expense optimization, service outsourcing, insurance packages revision, tax efficiency via charity events. No emotion, only bullets. Leon loves a stage where he is the director and applause arrives on cue. The timer idea sailed through PR with talk of game mechanics, engagement, everyone can help. Language that turns a gesture into product. No one said the simple thing. Dignity is not a prop. No one wanted to spoil the party. He has a plan. Show efficiency. Cut in-house cleaners and move to contractors with floating pay. On slides it becomes a chart where red bars shrink and turn green. We're taking control of costs, he will tell the board. We're freeing capital for big projects. He believes the numbers he draws because they always end with an upward arrow. His world does not tolerate silence. He fills it with a joke, a promise, an exclusive. He does not hear the emptiness in the lives under his shine. For him, a pause is a technical gap between two loud moments. After the timer act, he does not apologize. He signs autographs, smiles for vloggers, poses by a model of a children's clinic. In the photo, his hand is on his chest. The plaque says, Philanthropist of the Year. His calendar shows a board meeting in 3 days. There, he will unveil the savings plan. There, he will be smooth and certain, like in rehearsal. He runs the arguments out loud while the driver takes him home. The empty car hears a confident voice. That same evening, in the staff room, Marina tucks Sophia's gray sweater into her bag. Just the thought of bills makes her cold. She remembers how, at second 30 of the countdown, the floor manager hissed, "Faster." He smelled of mint and fear. And there was one more thing, a look near the stage, steady, unlike the others. She did not register it then. That was the hidden ally. No name yet. Just a watching point in the glare of the night. A switch has clicked. The light still hangs, but it's already changing. The next morning, she wipes chrome edges in the lobby and hears a violin from the ballroom. Rehearsal. A phrase repeats, stops, repeats again. She feels the count in her hands. 4, 4, 4. The hall is empty except for a man on the tech platform behind a small forest of cables. He wears a black hoodie and cheap headphones. He watches waveforms float across a laptop screen. His badge says, Thomas. He glances up once, just a flick, when Marina lifts a chair one-handed to clean under it without scraping the floor. He files that away and looks back at levels. At noon, a delivery arrives. Boxes of printed programs for the board meeting. She carts them backstage. One box rips on the corner, and a stack slides out. She kneels, gathers the sheets, straightens them on her thigh. A thinner sheaf peeks out from inside, stapled, not glossy. It smells of toner and warm paper. The header reads, Service Vendor Consolidation, Draft. Her eyes narrow. She is not stealing time, she is catching her breath. She knows how to skim where the traps sit. Clause 7.3 says, Contractors waive entitlement to health insurance. Alternative coverage is not provided. Clause 9.2 says, Payment adjustments at sole discretion of client. Language that squeezes air from lungs. She takes a photo, fast, careful, from high enough not to cast a shadow. The page returns to the stack. The stack returns to the box. At the clinic that evening, Sophia laughs twice and coughs once. The nurse neighbor listens to her back with a warm stethoscope. It's better, she says. Keep the inhaler near. Marina nods. In her pocket, the photo glows like a coal. She turns the phone face down. She pours tea from the thermos and holds it in both hands to warm her fingers. Outside, wind runs the length of the street. In the workshop, the kitten climbs onto Sophia's knee and kneads a small rhythm. The radio hums low from somewhere behind old shelves. Marina closes her eyes for a second. She wants a life where papers don't hide nails. When she opens them, Sophia is watching her. You're thinking again, the girl says. Marina smiles. I'm counting, she says, and nudges the inhaler closer. Notices go up in the staff corridor the next day. New badges, new terms, a contractor hotline with a number no one has seen before. Hours to be optimized. A list of names marked Review. Marina's name is there. The paper is smooth under her palm. She feeds carts, folds cloths, and keeps moving. The air from the vents is too cold. Her fingers sting. That night, she finds the floor manager near the pantry, staring at his shoes. He doesn't meet her eyes. It's not me, he says, barely moving his lips. I don't decide. He smells of mint again. Fear sits close to the skin. She thanks him anyway. She learned a long time ago that some people are only capable of warning signs, not help. Sophia has a bad spell at 2 a.m. The window is closed. The room still feels like winter. The inhaler hisses. The girl's chest rises in short waves. Marina counts. 4, 4, 4. The breath evens out. She wipes Sophia's forehead with a cool cloth and watches the child sleep. The kitten purrs from the chair. The city hums through the broken seal of the old frame. She thinks of the clause numbers and the way the ink sat on the paper. She decides she will not be a shadow in someone else's chart. Morning brings the board meeting. Dark wood, thick carpet, a long table that drinks up sound. Bottles of water stand like clear pins. The projection screen rests on a gray pause. Marina is there as part of the setup crew, then as a ghost with a cloth, moving along the edges, making reflections behave. Her cart parks behind the side door. From there, she sees Thomas at the back wall, hands on faders, eyes tired, but steady. He's been here since dawn. He knows where every wire runs. He knows which mic will betray someone who forgets it is on. Leon is crisp in navy. He shakes hands with directors. He places a palm on the chair back, on a shoulder, on the table. He enjoys the small theater of it. He starts with the charity highlight reel, warm images, soft transitions, strings underneath. The room relaxes, then slides. Numbers, arrows, charts. He speaks of sustainability, agility, focus. The words slide off the lacquer. Marina works the door when a courier arrives with an envelope. She signs, then notices the return label in Spanish. A subcontractor from Valencia. The invoice peeks out when the flap falls open. She sees a line. Pago por asesoría sin prestación. Payment for advice with no service. A classic move. She reads enough Spanish to know what it is. A hole someone will shove money through to avoid a tax. Her fingers tighten. She looks for the name at the bottom. It matches the draft she photographed. Not fate. Just the way careless power leaves a trail when it believes no one will read. On the break, she finds Thomas near the racks. Cable smell. Dust. Coffee gone cold. He notices the phone in her hand, the photo open on the screen. He studies her face before he studies the image. He speaks first. "You saw the timer," he says quietly. She nods. He lowers his voice. "He thought the mic was muted. It wasn't. I have the line. I don't leak things. It's my job not to." But what he said. He stops. He looks at the floor. Then he looks back up. People are not props. She doesn't breathe for a second. "Let me hear it," she says. He plays it under the hum of the cooling fans. Leon's voice, casual, off to the side, between two official phrases. Dignity is a prop. If they want respect, they can invoice it. The words land heavy. Not rage. Something colder. Something that curdles. Marina feels a slow heat behind her eyes. She swallows it. "Will you send it to me?" she asks. He hesitates. Then he nods once. "After," he says. "I'll send a clean clip. The board should hear this. Or the world." His fingers rest on the console like he is holding onto a narrow edge. She walks back into the room, on legs that remember work. Leon clicks to a slide that shows red bars turning green. The independent director at the far end adjusts her glasses. She asks a question about insurance coverage. Leon answers neatly. He never says the word cut. He prefers optimize. Words do not change lungs. The air is the air. Marina places a fresh water bottle near the independent director's elbow. A small act, invisible to most. She leaves, then returns with a folded sheet under a napkin. It is a copy of the line from the Spanish invoice. She does not speak. She does not look down. The director's hand pauses on the napkin, then slides it to cover the paper. The question that follows has a new edge. "Please clarify the overseas advisory payments in your consolidation plan." The room stills by 1 degree. Thomas sends the audio during the next break. Clean, time-stamped, with a short note. No trick, hot mic. Marina forwards the file to the director's assistant using the address on the program. She attaches the photo of clause 7.3. She writes one sentence. This is what it means in real life. Then she puts the phone away and goes back to the door. She cleans a fingerprint from the glass. Her pulse is steady. 4. 4. 4. The final segment is Q&A and a recap. PR has loaded a shorter cut of the charity reel. Thomas cues it. The room softens again. Faces, lights, applause. He looks at the timeline on his screen. Then he makes a choice. He lifts the fader of the ambient mic just enough. He rides the level so the off-mic line sits under the ending. Not hidden, not loud, but clear to any ear that listens. Dignity is a prop. If they want respect, they can invoice it. It lands like a pin hitting glass, not a crash. A sharp sound that pulls every gaze in one direction. The independent director looks up from her notes. A legal counsel shifts in his chair. A board member says, "Excuse me?" Leon blinks once, twice. "What was that?" he asks, lightly, too lightly. Tomas keeps his face still. The room fills with a silence that has shape. The director's assistant checks her tablet. The email sits there with the clip and the clause. She hears the line again in her head and sees the words, "Waive entitlement to health insurance." She stands. "Chair," she says, voice steady. "We have just received audio and supporting documents that relate to the treatment of staff and contractors. May I play the file?" Protocol would say no, but protocol is a thing for calm days. The chair nods. The words play unadorned. This time they are not under strings. They hang in the air like a harsh light. Dignity is a prop. If they want respect, they can invoice it. Leon tries a smile. It doesn't find a face to land on. That was a joke, he says. A private aside taken out of context. The director's assistant raises the printed clause without moving from her place. Clause 7.3, she says. This context? The legal counsel asks for a pause. The chair declines. The independent director asks for the Spanish invoice on the screen. Marina's photo appears, cropped to the line with the fake advisory. The room breathes differently now. Security does not march anyone out. This is not that kind of theater. But phones light up around the table. A reporter in the hallway tweets the clip within minutes. Someone in the room follows him. The foundation's head of compliance asks for an immediate closed session. The chair agrees. Faces harden. The words on the slide behind Leon are now just light. Marina rests a hand on her cart. The metal is cool. She does not move. The door closes for the session. She steps back into the corridor and finds Thomas there. He looks drained. He nods once, a question and an answer at the same time. She nods back. Neither speaks. When the doors open again, the air is different. Leon is still in his chair, but farther away somehow. The chair of the board reads a short statement. The company will suspend the consolidation plan pending review. An external audit will begin today. Effective immediately, Leon is relieved of operational duties. The foundation will set aside emergency funds for staff health coverage during the review. The words are not perfect. They are not a cure. They are a turn. Leon stands to speak. He chooses innocence, then outrage, then injury. None of them take. The independent director asks one last question, the kind that lands like a checkmate. Why did you think the people who keep your floors safe for your shoes do not deserve the same safety for their lungs? He answers with nothing. The nothing is loud. Outside, the lobby smells of lilies and fresh polish. Marina rolls her cart to the service lift. Thomas walks beside her for a few steps. He finally speaks. I keep backups, he says. Not for this. For when people lose their work. Funny. She thanks him. Not for the file. For seeing her. He shrugs like he is embarrassed by the weight of it. He disappears into the maze of cables. In the afternoon, HR calls Marina. The voice is careful. The company is forming a worker council for service staff. There will be paid time for training. Would she join a pilot group on financial literacy and contract review for employees? The words are clumsy, but the intent is clear. She asks one question. Will cleaners hired as contractors be offered full positions with insurance if they want them? A pause. Yes, the voice says. We will announce it tomorrow. She says she will think. She ends the call and sits on a crate by the dock. The sun finds a line along the wall. She closes her eyes. She counts to 4. She breathes. That evening, Sophia falls asleep with the kitten on her chest. The inhaler rests on the table like a small tool that saved a life again. Marina washes 2 cups and leaves them to dry on the rack. Her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. Thank you for the water. A second. You read the fine print. We needed that. The independent director does not sign her name. Marina smiles at the screen and then at the child. She turns off the light. Leon's statement hits the feeds by night. He calls it a misunderstanding. He hires a crisis firm. He posts a photo with a soft caption. The comments do not soften. In the morning, a regulator announces a review of the foundation's vendor payments. A partner distances their logo. The world does not end. It adjusts by 1 degree. Marina returns to the hotel with steady steps. She passes the ballroom. The chandelier light is cool, then warm, then cool again as the dimmer runs through its test. She straightens a stack of folded cloths. She looks at the floor where the wine had spread. It is just marble now. Nothing to see. Everything to remember. Not yet. She clocks out late and stops in the dark ballroom. A cleaner's cart stands by the wall. The chandelier buzzes faintly. On stage, the quartet has left their stands and soft pencils. A single rosin smell hangs in the air. She sits in the back row for a minute and lets the silence settle. Her phone lights up again. A message from Thomas. "They're drafting a statement for staff. If you want out of this, say so. I'll take the heat." She types back. "We did what was needed. That's enough." Then she adds after a blink, "Thank you." Morning brings a memo in plain language, not a slide. Contracts paused. Reviews open. A mail address for anonymous reports. A number to call that rings at a real desk. The head of housekeeping asks Marina to join the worker council. "You read what others skip," she says quietly, not making a performance of it. Marina says yes. She chooses to stay visible, but only where it counts. Leon tries to walk the lobby that day. Cameras follow him. He looks smaller without the wall of applause. He stops when he sees Marina near the service door. He clears his throat. "I didn't mean..." She lifts a hand. Not rude. Firm. "I have a shift," she says. She does not spit anger or take a victory lap. She chooses not to carry him in her mouth. Dignity is quiet. She goes to the elevator, presses the button, waits. The doors open with a clean chime. That week, she spends 2 evenings in a small meeting room with a whiteboard. A union lawyer explains rights in simple terms. She writes them down in a neat hand. Thomas visits once, sits in the back, listens. He brings coffee that is already cooled. He does not speak to be seen. When the session ends, he rolls up cables for the projector and nods to her. They do not need more than that. Sophia's breathing evens out as the weather turns mild. The neighbor nurse teaches Marina a better way to track triggers with notes. They buy a second spacer. The kitten grows into a lean cat and moves like he owns the chair. Sophia giggles when he falls asleep on her textbook and refuses to move. Sometimes, before bed, Marina opens a contract sample from the training group and reads it like a small puzzle. It calms her the way counting calms her. 4, 4, 4. A week later, the foundation posts an apology with signatures, not just a logo. They commit to full-time offers for those who want them, to real insurance, to a hotline answered by people, not menus. Reporters keep digging. A regulator opens a case on the fake invoices. The board names an interim lead and calls for nominations from staff for the council. Marina's name appears with 3 others. Housekeeping claps in the corridor without cheering. It is enough. Leon steps down. The firm puts out the phrase, "by mutual agreement." His profile photo goes gray for a while. He will not lose his houses. He will lose the room. That is its own sentence. On a Friday, the quartet rehearses a new piece. The first violinist stops near the end and lets a harmonic float. It is thin and steady. Marina pauses her cart and listens. Thomas stands at the back with his headphones around his neck. He watches the hall lights breathe through a slow fade. He catches her eye and touches 2 fingers to the console like a small salute. She taps the cart handle in time and moves on. Work waits. So does a child. She gets home and finds Sophia's school flyer on the table. Family Day. Bring what you know. She thinks of bringing cookies. She looks at her notes. She circles a line about reading small print out loud. On Family Day, she stands in a classroom that smells of crayons and dust and shows parents and older kids where penalties hide on a simple phone plan. Sophia watches her with the kitten glow in her eyes. "That was cool," the girl whispers. Marina laughs. "It was useful," she says. The moral is simple. Kindness weighs more than status. Dignity outlasts money. If this story found you, tap, like, subscribe, and tell me your city in the comments so the next person who needs this finds it sooner. 4 weeks later, a notice goes up by the staff entrance. 32 cleaners and porters accept full positions with insurance. 9 choose contractor status with guaranteed minimums. The Worker Council meets every Thursday at 9. Marina runs a short clinic on reading contracts before each meeting. Attendance grows. HR adds a childcare stipend pilot. The regulator finds the foundation for the invoice scheme. The board replaces 2 directors on the compliance committee. Thomas gets a proper title and 2 assistants, not as a reward for leaking, but because someone finally counts how many shows he holds together. He deletes the famous clip from his desktop and keeps a copy of the staff memo instead. Sophia's peak flow improves. She runs 2 laps in the courtyard without stopping and lifts her inhaler like a trophy, laughing. The cat sleeps on the window ledge in the sun. Marina buys a second plant for the kitchen, not parsley this time, but basil, because Sophia likes the smell. On a quiet night, when the building creaks and the city is a low hum, Marina sits at the table and writes numbers for the month. They fit. She closes the notebook and smooths the cover with her palm. The room is still. The metronome inside her chest is even. 4, 4, 4.